as a young professional, in my very first job, my boss sent me off in the US to sort of a management training school to help me understand research. And there was a 2-day case study on 3M, which by far has established itself as one of the most innovative large companies in the world. Um, Help us understand, what does it take for a large company to choose to be innovative, and how do they think about it?
Well, I think especially for large organizations, there's got to be a mindset from the top that encourages experimentation and risk taking across, the various elements of the company. If you hear Jeff Bezos speak about Amazon, he says that Amazon is in the business of putting Amazon out of business. What does that mean? Well, it means that his goal as a manager is to continually be disintermediating Amazon's old business model with a better business model, right? So Amazon itself disintermediated the traditional brick and mortar bookseller, obviously with online delivery, the big fulfillment centers. But that's not enough, right? They want to disintermediate that with ebooks, with the Kindle. Well, that's not enough. They want to disintermediate that business model with cloud computing and Amazon Web Services. So, as one business professor said, just because you're a company that's not willing to disrupt or cannibalize or disintermediate your own business model doesn't mean that change is going to be forced. That change is not going to be forced upon you from the outside. So being a leader, being a manager, willing to recognize that change is a constant, and only the as Andy Grove of Intel said, only the crazy survive, is I think part of. And then so mindset and the environment is one, but then it's processes, it's mechanisms, it's training, it's skills. If you look at the way Google, for instance, manages its innovation approach. What Google says, they have a 70-20-10 model for innovation. So 70% of the staffing and the money at Google go to search. Google always has to have the world's best search algorithm. And now that's why you got to integrate AI into search. But 20% of Google's innovation resources go to extension, adjacencies. So now we want to bring search into different environments. Why was there Google Android for the mobile phone? Well, that was to extend the search platform into different environments. They had Orkut was their social media network in South America, extend social media to search. And then 10% is the radical innovation. Google X, like Google Energy, Google autonomy, right? So the 70-20-10 model is an organizational structure to try to balance how you're allocating the organization's resources to a combination of incremental, sustaining innovation. You always have to get better improvements and processes, but you got to also be thinking about that transformative future. And so a successful innovation organization is kind of balancing this tension between maximally operationalizing the current and then imagining the future.